Yeah, holding it now. Okay.
So you can just have it over there. So
Right.
you should be able to see both of us, get you and me.
Okay.
And then you can talk to it, you can talk to me, and I can talk to you and talk to it.
Right, where are we going, Claire?
We are going to a book launch.
Ooh. But you don't read books. Why are we going to a book? You don't read books. Why are we going to a book launch?
I'd love to read books. I don't have time to read books. We are going to a book launch because we've been invited to a book launch.
Why have you been invited to a book launch, Claire?
Because we're special.
Right.
No, we've been invited to the book launch of Stretch.
Woo!
Which is the new book by Tilly Walnes, who is an independent pattern designer who I am sure most of our viewers have heard of before, otherwise known as Tilly and the Buttons.
Tilly and the Buttons. And we love Tilly and the Buttons, don't we,
love
Claire?
Tilly.
Now, I know from my point of view, I did sewing at school 300 years ago.
I made a cushion cover.
I made an A-line skirt for O-level. Well, no, it wasn't O-level, but for year 10 or whatever it was.
GCSEs.
No, I'm too old for GCSEs. So I had to make an A-line skirt, and that was about, no, then I did lots of sewing for myself when I was sort of 15, 16, just because I liked sewing my own clothes.
But that was
then
the
I
thing
stopped
to do,
dead.
wasn't it, when you were younger?
And that was all with my mum's old Singer sewing machine with the handle that you turned and so on. And then I stopped dead. And then all of a sudden, how many years ago?
5.
You suddenly said to me,
should we make a top?
Fancy sewing this. And I said, oh, we can't, it's made of jersey, it's stretchy stuff, I've never sewn that, no, I can't do it. But we did.
We did.
What started you suddenly sewing, because you weren't making clothes?
I suddenly started sewing because I've been teaching beginners sewing for ages, and quite a few of my customers said, will you please teach dressmaking? And I said, I can't, I don't know how, I've never done it before. And they were like, well, you should learn. And I was like, no, really not interested, can't be bothered. And all of a sudden, so it must have been about 4.5 years ago, I'm sure we can find out the exact date, but this pattern, everyone was suddenly making this pattern called Coco. Everybody. All over the internet, YouTube, all the various sewing
which I didn't know, because I never look on the...
No. And it was by Tilly, and it was promised to be the best thing as a beginner dressmaker. You could do really good instructions, really clear, really simple to follow. And I thought, well, you know, if everyone else is doing it, I want to join the party. So I asked you to make it with us, and yeah, well, the rest is history.
And it was amazing, wasn't it? Because I was terrified of the stretchy stuff, and I thought, there's no way I can do this. But every single step was so clearly put, and all the bits, unlike most patterns, I mean, we cut them out with cutting wheels and things, didn't we? So it was dead scary.
I think as well, on reflection,
everything fitted together perfectly, didn't it?
That's a Tilly pattern, we know that now.
Yeah, we know that now.
On reflection though, the jersey that we chose for that pattern was so wrong. It was really thin, really t-shirty stuff, and it didn't hang right. They didn't look good. But what I might do, I might put some pictures up here, because we've got pictures of us having
both of us about 3 stone heavier.
We were about 3 stone heavier.
Yes.
But I'll pop them up here so people can see.
Yeah, that'll give them a fright. Yeah, but I went on and made about 3 of them. You went and made all sorts of different ones with collars, without collars, tops, short versions, longer versions, and so on. And you've gone on to ever since, including your beautiful stripy one where you matched all the stripes up.
Yeah, I'll put that up here too.
Yes, put that up, because that was a dead show-off one. The
best thing though is that after that book came, that pattern came out and Tilly launched it, she then went on to launch Love at First Stitch, and that is where I can hand on heart say that yes, I teach people to do dressmaking, but I only personally teach like real beginners stuff. I can only really bring myself to teach what I know that I can do myself.
Well, that's right, isn't it?
So Love at First Stitch was brilliant, and I can say you work from the beginning right through to the end, and by the time you get to the end of the book, you know what you're doing, which is brilliant.
And we've both of us got lots of nice dresses out of that, haven't we?
And you're wearing one now, which we'll show them later.
I'm wearing what am I wearing? A Megan.
A Megan.
And I was wearing a Delphine skirt yesterday.
Fabulous. And I have a Cleo on.
And you've got a Cleo on, which isn't in the book.
No.
But
so we're going to drive into London now, and we'll come back to you once we get to London.
Yeah. Bye.
Because I need to put the steamers on because I can't see where I'm going. This does not look pleasing to me.
No, this looks like a lot of cars standing very still.
Do you think we should come off?
Bad.
Everybody's coming off.
Yeah. That could be just as bad.
It could be, but look, everyone's doing it.
Except those that are coming on from here.
Yeah. Let's give it a go. I don't think it's going to take us anywhere. It's going to take us to Trotter's Bottom.
It's going to take us to Darren Park Country Club. Private, members only. No, Trotter's Bottom's to your left. Oh, it's an ice cream farm. That sounds all right.
Ice cream farm?
Yeah, that's where they grow ice creams.
I didn't know they grew ice creams.
Yeah, they grow on trees. Happy, Claire?
Hello. All I'm saying is there better be crisps. Yes, if there's not crisps, I might kill someone with a roll of fabric I've not eaten. We got stuck on the A1. There's Katie on the door. Show Megan, Elspeth. She's only had a sip of bubbles so far. So this is what I love about Tilly's patterns. This book is entirely stretch, and so therefore you'd think you have to use an overlocker to make everything. Well, you don't. Everything on this gorgeous dress is stitched simply using a sewing machine, so anybody can make these garments. You don't have to use an overlocker. Of course, if you're me, you're going to use an overlocker because you like an overlocker, but you don't have to. 2 glasses now, Elspeth. That's just greedy. Good afternoon. It's the next day. It's now Thursday and I'm back from the book launch. I didn't do too much filming when I was there. To be honest, as you can see, there was a room full of famous faces, loads and loads of people there who you would recognise from Instagram and YouTube, lots of influential sewers and vloggers, and nobody else had their cameras out. Everyone was on Instagram, everyone was on their phones, but there was no one else actively vlogging, and I thought, do you know what, I'm not going to be sticking my camera in people's faces and annoying people. This is an opportunity for everyone to get together, to socialise, and obviously celebrate what is an awesome book and Tilly as an awesome person. So I didn't vlog any more of the event, but I thought what I'd do, just to tack on to the end of the video, obviously Elspeth and I were talking at the beginning about how we got into dressmaking and the fact that it was very much a case that Tilly got us dressmaking in the first instance. So I wanted to then perhaps show you the book and just give you some examples of how she continues to be really inspirational for those of us who want to learn to sew. So this is Stretch. This is my copy that I picked up at the Knitting and Stitching show. Tilly was very sweet. She added some extra text to her initial signing. It did say, can't wait to see what you make, Tilly, when I picked it up from Knitting and Stitch. So she added at the top, to Claire, so lovely to see you at my launch. Can't wait to see what you make. So that was really sweet. So she signed that for me yesterday. I've got another copy on its way to me. Being delivered by Mr. Amazon later today, which I ordered the minute that the initial email came into my inbox to say that this book was being launched. Literally, it came in, I squealed, I went on Instagram, I shared the news, I shared it on my Facebook page, and then I hit pre-order. So I'd ordered it without even hesitation. So I now have 2 copies. In fairness though, one of the ladies who comes to me for lessons would really like a copy, so she's going to take my spare one off my hands. But let's open up the book and let's have a look and see how it begins. So chapter 1 is called Shop, Prep and Cut. It's a really good chapter. It's all about choosing the right materials, different types of knit fabric, and preparing your materials before you start to sew. There's some top tips inside, how to use a rotary cutter, how to match stripes, how to lay your pattern out on the fabric, and some common fit problems with knit garments. All very useful. Chapter 2 is Stitch School, and that goes on to tell you about the difference between using a sewing machine and an overlocker, different stitches that you can use, and talking about the different stretch in fabrics, which is really handy. As I mentioned earlier in the video, what I love about this book and all of the patterns that come inside it are that you do not need an overlocker to sew any of them. Every single instruction that is in this book tells you how to do it using a sewing machine. There is, however, an entire 10 pages dedicated to overlockers. So if you have got an overlocker or you're thinking of buying one, it covers threading it, it covers all the different parts of it, it covers any mistakes, any problems if it's not sewing properly. It tells you how to overlock curves and corners and adjust all the different stitch lengths, etc. So really, really handy, but if you don't have an overlocker, it doesn't matter. After that, then you've got a whole load of patterns that you can make. There is a skirt, there is a dress, there is a t-shirt, there is a top with a cowl neck, which I might be wearing. There is a dress with a cowl neck, there is a top with a roll neck, there is a top with a turtleneck, there is, oh gosh, oh I love this one. This is brilliant. This is the ruffly dress that I've shown a couple of times. This is called Freyr Dress. It's actually what I'm wearing. This is Freyr, but with the cowl neck and without the ruffle. So it just shows you all of the different variations. One of the things that I really want to do is this. This is the Stella hoodie and joggers. I'm really looking forward to making that, and I'm going to get some fabric for that when I go to the Netherlands. And then also in the book is the Joni dress, and there was loads of these dresses last night at the event. It's a really nice party dress with a twisty front, which you can obviously jazz up and make your own. Tilly was wearing one last night in a blue velvet. I'll pop a picture up here. You can see her swishing away in her dress. And as I say, there was lots and lots of people wearing that particular dress last night. So, fantastic book. I've already made 2 things out of it. I'm not going to show you in too much detail because they'll be in my March Makes video. But if you haven't already ordered yourself a copy of Tilly's stretch book, then I would highly recommend you do. And if you're not there yet, get her first book. Get her first book, Love at First Stitch. Because honestly, if it wasn't for that book, I would not be dressmaking now. So Tilly, thank you. Thank you very much for producing an amazing range of patterns and actually saying it like it is, teaching us how to make our own clothes in a simple, no-nonsense way, and for designing patterns that actually fit without having to make any changes, which is, for me, 100% the best way to design patterns. So, Tilly, thank you. Thumbs up, 10 out of 10, another awesome book. I can't wait to see what the rest of the year's got in store for us makers.